Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As Sam explained very well, we're going to spend a couple of hours talking about a new form. So without a doubt, you're pretty excited about today's program. Obviously, though, this is an important responsibility under the Bank Secrecy Act. We file 12 to 13 million currency transaction reports in every calendar year. It's a responsibility that is significant for your institution and probably affects a number of your employees. One of the things I think that you should be thinking about as we work our way through the new form is how you're going to conduct training among your staff members. Some of you may already be using the form, but for some of you, you may have decided to make the switch from paper to the new electronic form 112 and just simply skipped the middle generation of the electronic form 104. In any case, we're going to go through, just as Sam said, a series of slides. I hope you did print those out so you can take some notes if it's necessary. You also have a copy of the demonstration form, copy of the new form 112, and I hope you've got that printed out. As for the instructions, my suggestion would be that you keep them in electronic form and develop the habit of using them that way because, frankly, they're a lot easier to search. But in any case, if you've got it out in front of you, I will make some references to those as well. This is the new BSA CTR, also now being called the FinCEN CTR. And that is in reference or in comparison to what is now called the legacy forms in terms of the earlier version of the electronic forms. But in any case, the current version of the Form 112 does not mirror the old versions of the currency transaction report. It is substantially different. It represents a new compliance responsibility, and it definitely represents a new training opportunity within your institution. I will try to go back and forth between referring to this form as either the BSA CTR or the FinCEN CTR, and I'll refer to the older forms as the legacy forms. That label has been placed upon them by FinCEN. Those are the forms that are currently in use in terms of being able to file them electronically. The Form 112, the one we're focused on today, I talked to a FinCEN representative about the form several months ago, and after I'd referred to it as a form a couple times, he took the opportunity to correct me. He said, well, Ken, we're not really calling them forms. They're actually electronic data collection devices. And I'm thinking, well, maybe you need to spend a little bit less time at the office. But in any case, after I'd had some exposure to them, I came to understand exactly what he means. This is not truly a form. It is a device wherein we input data. I think it's been created in the format of a form to make it familiar to us, make it something we're more comfortable with. But really what it is just a data entry template. In any case, the new BSA CTR, there's not going to be any paper equivalent of this form. Not now, not in the future. FinCEN is doing its best to go paperless over a period of time. So essentially what you see is what you get. The printed out copy of the BSA CTR that you have, you will notice across the top, boldface, all caps, printed versions of the BSA filing forms cannot be submitted for meeting your reporting requirements. So again, we're looking at an electronic form that is only going to be an electronic form. Before we get into the specifics, I'd like a little input from you. This is a pretty unscientific survey because it's just the group of people who have registered for this seminar. But I would like for you to indicate what you are currently doing in terms of filing currency transaction reports. If you're still filing on paper, keep in mind that option is going to go away at the end of June. If you are filing electronically, but you're filing on the legacy form, the Form 104, I'd like to know that. If you're filing electronically, but you're filing the form we're going to talk about today, and you actually have experience with this, I'd like to know that too. Notice, too, the last option. FinCEN has indicated that banks are allowed to file a mixture of the forms. In other words, if you want to just put your toes in the water a little bit as you're going from paper filing and just jump over to file the Form 112, but you don't want to get into the routine of doing it every day necessarily. That's perfectly permissible. So just click the appropriate box. We'll come back and I'll give you the results about 45 seconds from now. In terms of this form, this is a multi-industry form. For years, we as bankers have had our own currency transaction report. We've had our own suspicious activity report, and other industries had their forms. We've had ours. They have had theirs. This form was essentially designed to be that multi-industry form. In other words, when I log on, I will indicate that I am a bank, and my form is the one that will appear on the screen, or I will make choices that indicate that I am a bank. An MSB will do exactly the same thing, and to indicate they are filing their form to meet their responsibilities, and so forth with a number of other industries. The point is, the forms will no longer be organized by industry, but they will be organized by the fact they are a currency transaction report. There will be no more silos. Originally, all the bank forms were filed in one silo. All the MSB forms, all the securities industry forms were each filed in their own silo. For law enforcement to look at currency transaction reports across industries, they had to go to each silo and look to see what was inside. Now, if they're looking for currency transaction reports, they will go to a single gathering place, and it will be clearly indicated a member of which industry filed which forms. So again, we're not storing things separately anymore because they really were a homogeneous work product. Now, back to our polling results. Clearly, the vast majority of you are filing the legacy form on paper, about 75%. The vast majority are filing you the legacy form electronically, about 75%. Some of you are doing the mixture. I'd be curious to know how that's going. In any case, let's talk about what it is we're going to address today. We're going to address the completion of this form by depository institutions who have a federal functional regulatory agency. Not going to talk about brokerage firms, not going to talk about money service businesses, just simply depository institutions. I want to try to approach things from your point of view. The instructions to the Form 112 are located at the URL that is on the current slide you have right now. Again, BOL distributed you a PDF copy of those instructions. The instructions, I think, are helpful to get the full flavor of the form. It's not a form, I think, that lends itself necessarily to just looking at the box and knowing exactly what is required. But there are some sections of the instructions in particular that I want to draw your attention to. In any case, you already have a copy of the instructions, or you can obtain them from that URL. The required use of the BSA CTR, the Form 112, is now set for March 31st of 2013. You're all required to file electronically, of course, at the end of June of this year. But you can still continue to use the legacy form all the way through March of next year. The point being made in the slide right now is this is not the same CTR that you have come to know and love since its last major revision in 1995. This is a significant change in your reporting responsibilities. In terms of compliance management, I want to make a few suggestions. First of all, go through the instructions, and I'll just give you the guarantee they are some of the most tedious reading that you will ever subject yourself to. But in any case, I think the instructions are very helpful in giving you some of the flavor of the form. And I can also promise you that there are some things that are in the instructions that are essentially new or changes to your reporting responsibility. My approach is, as indicated there on the screen, I mark up the PDF copies, I highlight, I insert notes. If you say, well, I'm a kind of a paper person rather than electronic, you can do the same thing on the paper copies. But that's essentially the way that I learn. And that's what I'm going to try to relate to you, mostly what I have learned from both reading the instructions and a few conversations with FinCEN personnel. when you're going through the instructions, look for things that sound a little different. I've referred to them as gems. You may assign different descriptors. This one comes from page 1 of the currency transaction report instructions, and it talks about a responsibility to retain the supporting documentation for 5 years. Now that